some OJ, and some ice. Cause this list is gonna be kind of hot. Get yourself something to drink, because this is gonna be kind of dry. A dry one here. This is gonna be set 21, the last Legion set. The last Legion set. I mean, you didn't hear this from me, but somebody doesn't really like Legion. So somebody kinda is happy that Legion is ending. And I hope this list can give you an idea of like what you can probably expect this month. What you can probably expect a whole lot on ladder. I don't know any much about the championship series because that list is actually completely different than this, and the deck list, the deck amounts would be a lot lower. I can tell you right now, yeah, Bermuda would probably be way on top of that because it's a good tournament deck. You can also see Tsukiyomi somewhere there too because those are good tournament decks. Everything else is just sort of like maybe what ifs, sort of. But let's get into it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you don't like it, give a dislike. If you like it, and hopefully comment or something. Give me your own thoughts. I'll preface this though with a huge asterisk. This is my own thoughts, my own opinions. This is what I've seen usually on the ladder for the last couple of months, and this is the play patterns of the players that I have seen while playing Global for the last 2 years of playing this game. So take it with a grain of salt, okay? Because last time I made this list, I got a lot of people saying, why didn't you put Exec at the top of the list? I don't know. It's because most of the times I saw it in tournaments or I saw it on ladder, it did not perform that well. So that was the reason why. Exiv, pretty good deck. I still see it doing okay. Last couple of sets when it came out, it was like the highest played deck on the ladder at the moment. It did get Exiv, which added a little bit more consistency. You get a Blaster Blade, which can retire something from your opponents in the front row. There is going to be some decks that do have a bit more resist, so it's a bit more iffy any of those turns to happen, and it also protects your stuff from being retired as well, but it does not protect you from resist, so you're still gonna have a bit of issue against Link Joker. So I would put it on tier 2. I think it's a good deck, but it does have some issues that it needs to deal with. Let's see. DI, I will put it for fun or rogue. I would say it can beat people. It can clap people out. It does have guard restrict though, which is one of the biggest drawbacks of the deck. So I will put it for fun. It's not F tier. I don't think it's F. Like high tier 2. Like the things that I mentioned just now, that you're going to be playing against a lot of Link Joker this season. And whether it be Deleters or being Garnet Star or beating Dark Zodiac, those are the decks you'll have to compete against on ladder. If you're playing against most of those complete decks, and you don't really have much unlocks outside of the one grade 3 that can unlock one something, but that's basically for the one turn. And if you already are forced to commit a board to push aggression and they end up like omega locking most of your stuff, it's hard to fight through. It's really hard to fight through. Battle Sys, fun deck. It's I want to say F for fun, to be honest, because Jesus Christ, it's bad. Yeah, nah, F for fun. Pale Moon, you can have some really fun turns against opponent that plays like Gauntlet Buster and stuff, but if they, like Narukami's on a resurgence and they can play like the Desert Gunners and stuff like that, and so Fortress is not gonna be as strong as it used to be. It is a pretty good deck, kinda sometimes, but it's dependent sometimes on a Break Ride. If you play the Break Ride variant, or even if you do play Silverthorn variants of it, it is bad beats all around nonetheless. So I will say, like, you can win, it's struggle streak. Like, I will say again though, right, even with me putting these decks in this tier, it's still Vanguard Zero, it's still Cardfight Vanguard, right? So these decks can still beat people. That doesn't mean they like instantly lose to everything on the matchup, or like these decks are like complete garbage or garbage tier. It just means that in terms of power scaling and matchups against other matchups or things you're going to be playing against, so things like Link Joker, things like Narukami, things like Kagura, for example, you know, like you're gonna be that time, you know. Or even with the resurgence of Glare with Bluish Flame, you know, with guard restrict and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't have any of those tools to be pressuring your opponent with. Blau, same issue. I Gauntlet Buster, pretty high up there because you can attack multiple things to your opponent. It's a Vanguard only deck, and Lane Joker has a lot of issues dealing with it. You do have some struggle streets against Deleter every now and again, but rewriting your Vanguard, your hand is usually bigger now with this version of Brawlers. It's really, really decent, which means you can always sack. You can always beat your opponent by sacking. Chaos Breaker. Funny enough, it's a pretty decent rogue deck, but for some odd reason, I don't see Chaos Breaker with Dark Zodiac. I guess the Garnet Star part is supposed to be mixed with Dark Zodiac, but this is just Chaos Breaker. Chaos Breaker is actually not bad. It's a rogue deck. It's like, it can play some of the set 2 stuff. You can play some Legions in it. You can play Chaos Breaker featuring Legions. It gets a little bit better when it gets buffed, so it'll end up probably being like low tier 2. But right now, it's like, it's in the rogue spot. It's a bit roguish. Angel Feather, same issues as most of the other archetypes. It is a 3 attack deck, 4 attack deck at max. It has issues dealing with a lot of what's going on in the ladder right now. So you could still play it for fun. It's a fun deck. You can get some wins. If you're a loyalist, you can make it work. But yeah, it's rough. It's rough out there. Deleters, very aggressive deck. Deleting your Vanguard, this is going to be the only time this deck is going to be relevant for a while. It gets free locking by deleting your opponent. The cost to lock your opponent is very easy. The ways of punishing your opponent for overextending is very easy. Deleting your opponent is also pretty easy too. If your opponent ends up trying to commit extra grade 3s to the board, you punish them, delete the Vanguard, and you go in for pressure. Let's see here. And now we have Grand Azel Scissors. It's not that bad. I personally think it's pretty good into Link Joker and pretty good into Deleter as well. So I would say, like, I want to say low tier 2, like the lowest of tier 2, and has some pretty okay matchups because you have, like, you can damage enable, like, you can damage mitigate your opponent, force some PGs out, get some really cheeky plays, and by being able to unlock your stuff, you get some really decent game in. The only issue that you do have is that you lose to Narukami. Hard. You lose to Narukami so hard because it's just, he just attacks you, right? He just attacks you and all your stuff. He attacks your face twice in a row every single turn. So I would say I'll leave it here at tier 2 for now, but like low tier 2, almost rogue tier. Let's see, Idrisil, I would say rogue. She can get some wins in, Witches, I would say funish, high end of fun. Glendios, you can get some wins in with it. It's fun though. Let's see, the Grand Blue stuff, I would say rogue. It's a 4 attack deck potentially. It also retires you on rear guard sometimes. Great Nature, F is for friends. Let's see. we have some Jewel Knight stuff. This gets some criticals, but you don't have like any unlock stuff with it, so I would say rogue. Brasta Joker. Unironically, Brasta Joker is not that good, I don't think. I would say Brasta Joker is kind of on the lower end as well. I mean, you can like remove. It's a good anti-meta deck. It's good anti-meta. It's, if you want to play a Link Joker deck and you happen to pull 4 copies of it, I would say like you can play this and like bop a couple of people. Kagero, pretty good. It's a Vanguard only deck. Attack a rare, attack Van again. Glare, I would say high tier 1. The lowest of the tier 2, the lowest of the tier 1s for sure though. Maelstrom, F is for fun. F is for fun, homie. Yeah, but if you play purely, like if you play pure Blasted Joker, you could make it work. Magnolia, F is for fun. Mega Colony, you get some actually nasty multi-attack shenanigans. I put it in a rogue tier. Like, you can clap some people if your opponent doesn't, like, if you end up like in a pool of them fighting against themselves, these guys are pretty okay. Let's see here. This is Murakumo. You can attack from the back row, so if your front row is like getting you some issues, you can still poke from the back row, get rid of some intercepts, and you can clear your own board. I would say the low end of Rogue, actually. You can get some unexpected wins with this deck. You're doing fine with Great Nature. I mean, if you're doing fine with it, you're doing fine with it. As I said, that doesn't mean that these decks can't win. That just means you need to work harder than your opponent to win, you know? And then you can still, like, sack your opponent out. It doesn't change, like, what makes your deck weaker in comparison to the other decks. I'm just saying. Murukoma is below it. No, you can attack from the back row and stuff. I think it can do pretty okay. You do have issues playing against almost all of these decks, but being able to attack from the back row is one of the biggest, like, draw points for me for this version of Murakumo. I think it's pretty big for me. Near Nectar, big issue, no resist. Nubatama, big issue, it has no cards. Nirvana, same issue, no cards. Risers, pretty fun deck. It's actually a pretty fun deck. So you could... Can I slide these stuff on? No? Yes? Maybe? Okay, I guess not. It gets to run 4 unlockers, so it claps Link Joker. Yeah, I think it's like underestimated, if anything. I think it's underestimated. I think Murukuma is pretty good. It has access to the grade 1 unlockers, and it has some like on the other unlockers as well, and it can clone some of the cards that it owns. So I think it's pretty alright. Risers, I think it's aight. Rogue, Revengers, Rogue, Sing Savior, regular Sing Savior. Let me see here. Tier 2. Like next to Exiv. They're basically sort of like buddies, but if you're playing pure Sing Savior, it's a Vanguard only deck that does pretty well into like Link Joker and stuff, so you need to set up and push as much as you can. Revengers tier 1? I don't think so. I personally don't think so. I think it loses to everything. I personally think it loses to everything, to be honest. Send it to me. Send it to me why you think Revengers is that good. It's not a Vanguard only deck. You beat Brawlers easy. You beat Brawlers. Let's see, how do you beat Brawlers exactly? So you Blaster Dark twice. So you Blaster Dark Revenger. You attack face again. You get early aggression, you get some draw power. I guess it can keep up if your board gets mowed down. But if your board gets mowed down before you get set up, you're kind of screwed though. I want to put it here because it's dependent on your knowledge of playing the matchup. I understand you can retire your own board. Like, look, I'm trying to say it in the sense of, like, you need to be better than the Link Joker that you're playing against, and you also need a factor of luck. Brawlers and Link Joker just gets to play the game while you need to work harder in comparison to your opponent. So I guess it's not Rogue, then, but it's not tier 1 for me. You need to play better than your opponent does to play the game, if you understand what I mean. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Not saying that the deck can't win, I'm just saying you need to do like 15 million extra things in comparison to what Link Joker or Brawler needs to. Brawler just needs to attack you, Link Joker just needs to lock you. You need to clear your own board, and you need to think of like 15 million permutations of either committing early intercepts in an early game, letting them get hit and retired in the mid to late game, and then making sure that every single turn that you're clearing your board to push pressure. I think you're underestimating the power of the deck. I don't think I am though. I think it's good. I agree with you, I think it's good. I just think that you need to work harder for it than your opponent. Like, you just need to think harder than your opponent does. Brawlers is probably better, but Link Joker doesn't beat Revengers? I don't think so. I don't. We'll have to agree to disagree on that one. We'll have to hard hard disagree on that one. I do not think on any light of day in this universe or the next that Link Joker ever loses to Revengers at all. But as I said, this is my own opinions. Whether you want to agree with them or not, that's entirely up to you, and that's fine. I'm just saying that you need to play harder than your opponent does to make your wins. That's all I'm saying. That's anecdotal. If he beats me with it's an anecdotal situation. It doesn't change my statement. It won't change my statement. If the Revengers player is an idiot, Link Joker can win. But I mean, that's the point, right? If the Link Joker is an idiot, the Revengers player can win too. If the Revengers player is an idiot, the Link Joker can win. It's a skilled matchup. But the terms of what the cards do for each other, there's no, like, the mechanics are different from each other. Like, sure, you can clear your board to make sure that you don't get locked. Yes. But if you have no choice because you're getting pressured early, especially if the Link Joker player commits cards earlier than you do, you get pressured out of the game because you have to overcommit to compensate for the lack of aggression that you can put on the board. Like, of course, we'll talk about, like, you know, what if scenarios, but if you play the matchup correctly as the Link Joker player, you just commit earlier and you force the opponent to play to your game. Have always in the back requires a brain. Everybody used Revengers in the last Vanguard Zero tournament, though. No, but that's for JP. We don't know if that's going to be for English yet. As I said, this is without any tournament stuff yet. Of course, if you want to base it off of JP tournament results, then sure, it is up there. But then don't forget, Western audience do not play the same like JP audience, and I don't know if they have the same skill capacity. And as I said, I'm evaluating it based on a global skill level, which is very demeaning to say, but y'all don't play Revengers the same way as it should. And oftentimes I've been playing against a lot of y'all, and y'all been getting me free dubs. As I said, it can be anecdotal, but it's from my own experience, and for what I've been seeing, a lot of the matchups have been. Just saying. That's why I said asterisk on this. As I said, it's asterisk on this. It's based on what I have seen. Which is, let's see. They don't really retire their stuff. You commit your own stuff to the board. I would still say Rogue. Spike's tier 2. I personally think it's tier 1 myself, but because you can play super lame into Link Joker. But since Link Joker got some pretty decent early game cards, it can commit more cards to the board earlier, especially with the Legion mate of Dark Zodiac. You can commit it a little more. But then, okay, let's put it high tier 2, above Seekers then. High tier 2, high tier 2, low tier 1. Let's do that then. And then Garnet, Buster, low end tier 2, because the Guard Restrict's pretty decent. It has Guard Restrict, which it's a Vanguard only deck that focuses around Guard Restrict. PG the deck. I personally don't really think this deck is that good, to be honest, because I have not been piloting it well, and I've not been seeing any good pilots on it either on the western side, so I've not really been too impressed with it. But yeah, in theory, it should be a really good deck. And Tsukiyomi I'll leave Tsukiyomi there in its own tier for now, because that is really dependent on what you have. Legion is pretty good against Link Joker, but you do get blasted by a Brawler though, because he can attack your Spike's tier 2 because it auto loses to Link Joker. Yeah, it does. Not Link Joker, but Deleter. I think it's tier 2. Yep. I think this is also like tier 2 as well, because you actually have the Legion that can move your lock cards around and stuff, but it's not enough because they're still locked. they're still locked, so you still have to deal with the fact that they're still gonna be locked. I really wanted it to be better, but it's rough. You can still clap cheeks with it though. And then this is in its own tier by itself. You can still call it like tier 1. You can call it Rogue, tier 2. It's a good tournament deck. It's as good as the player that plays with it. It's good as the player that plays with it. If you have a notepad, the skill of the deck kind of increases or decreases based on that, if you're playing with the notepad or no. So that's why it's going to be kind of there by itself. I'll put it here. Yeah, Brawler's multi-target attacks, so it shuts down most decks. Yep, and that's what I'm saying. Brawlers kind of blast you booty by attacking like 4 rear guards at the same time and stuff. Like, sure, you can set up with shadows and stuff, but if you're being attacked from multiple angles. But ladder builds are whack. Yeah, exactly, man. Like, I've been having that issue too. It's like most of the pilots I've seen with the deck so far, I've folded like omelets, but that's anecdotal. In theory, this deck is supposed to be the best deck in the game, but oh well. Glare over Revengers. You have Guard Restrict. I personally value Guard Restrict higher above anything else. And that's me. I don't really care about like restarting Vanguards much. If the Vanguard has a way of having crits and a Guard Restrict, then that is higher for me, because you can always PG check your opponent every single turn, and they can die out of nowhere. Even today, the Amber Dragon is a great deck, my goodness. Yeah, as I said, a lot of builds on ladder are wild. Global players are wild. They are very are artistic. They are very they build a list based on their inspirations and stuff. So it's just very like sometimes beautiful to see. It's like, ah, sick, you're playing this deck combined with that deck that probably shouldn't ever work together, but they're working. That's kind of cool. I said artistic, like art. Like, you know, art is amazing. I had to try it 7 times as Witches to catch up to Nemwell PG resourced. The Witches Legion, yep. But the thing is, why I put this higher still is because it has Guard Restrict on it. As I said, I value Guard Restrict and multi-attacks higher. So if you notice the list, what the units I think are usually the ones I tend to gravitate towards, or decks that I tend to like a whole lot, is decks that can either multi-attack from different positions, or ones that have Guard Restrict on them is ones that I like a lot and that I think are pretty strong for me. So before pitchforks get put up, because we had a whole discussion just putting Revengers in tier 2. I don't know, maybe it could be due to favoritism, or maybe my blind assertion of what I think Revengers look like currently on ladder. As I said, I have not seen much good Revenger players at all on ladder. I've not seen much good quality games or Revengers from other streams as well, nor have I seen any like good tournament games either, with Revengers being played much on the western side. So as I said, I might be a bit harsh here when I'm saying it, but I'm gonna keep this as is until I see otherwise. I am always open to be wrong, and I am welcoming it to be wrong. But yeah, that's gonna have to be it now. So be awesome, stay awesome, guys. Have a wonderful day. Thank y'all for tuning in and stopping on by. And I'll talk to you guys real soon. Take care.